At first, it seemed like the Chargers were all in control, but never ever count out Patrick Mahomes and one of the best offenses in the NFL in the Kansas City Chiefs. Travis Kelce, 10 receptions, 191 yards, and 2 touchdowns to help lead the Chiefs to a 34-28 overtime victory over the LA Chargers on Thursday Night Football. Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of Time2Football. My name is Hassan Khan, and we like to introduce you to a brand new show that we like to call Time2Football. Not brand new, but for some of you guys that are tuning in for the very first time that have subscribed to this channel for this week, want to check out the live stream because you heard about it, you were like, hey, what is this about? Let me go ahead and check it out. We welcome you guys in, so I appreciate you guys going ahead and tuning in with that. You guys are going to go ahead and join us during the live chat and leave your comments as well. I mean, right now we've got Kicks Plugs tuning in with his string of fire emojis. Vintage Kicks Plug. Michael Cole, anyone? Vintage Undertaker. Vintage. It's vintage. It was looking extremely scary with Mahomes last night, but he ended up finishing strong. Yeah, it looked like the Chargers were in control. What happened? Hey, LA, what happened? What happened? You had your plethora of celebrity fans in attendance, and it looked like the Chargers were in control. I can go ahead and tell you what happened. It's because you didn't settle with the field goals. Dustin Hopkins was just sitting on the sideline like, hey, dude, what's going on? Do you not trust me? You know, it's the new day and age right now in the NFL where it's like if it's 4th and 2, 4th and 3, and you're close to scoring, why not just go for it? Even if you're in field goal range. I personally have never been that kind of person I've always been that kind of person whenever you play online in Madden and everybody else is going for it on 4th down. I punt in Madden playing online. Yeah, that's right. And guess what? Most of the time, I end up winning because I punted. But people will go for it on 4th and 27. Now, that's not what the Chargers did. But when you're in a perfect position, score is 14-0, score is 10-14, score is 13-14. You're just electing to forego these field goals that would have avoided overtime. It would have given you the victory. But nonetheless, the Chiefs win that game. They have a stronghold on the AFC West. And now they're 2 games ahead in that division. It's looking very, very good for the Chiefs moving forward. The Chiefs' defense has been a solid point for the last 6 weeks, but, I mean, the Chiefs' offense really stepped it up last night against the LA Chargers. We're going to get into this show and what we have planned for you guys. It's Friday. It's Fantasy Friday. We talk about this every week. PredictionStrike, the stock market for the NFL for fantasy football, and PrizePicks, where you just take the overs and unders on fantasy football projections, and if you're right, you win some money, and I'm here to help you guys with all of that. So first, let's get into NFL news and notes that is going around the league. All right, COVID-19, man, it's getting worse and worse to the point where yesterday, at one point, they had over 125 people on the COVID-19 list. Yeah, it's not looking good. Now, some people have been activated off that list, including David Najoku, which we'll be talking about so much in this episode of Time2Football, so stay tuned for that. And then some other players as well that have been activated to help their teams. Now, here's the thing, though. There's been some COVID diagnoses to some star players as well. And let's go ahead and read off some of those star player names. We've got Von Miller, Allen Robinson, Tyler Lockett, Kenny Clark, Alex Collins, Jalen Waddle, Adoree Jackson, Taylor Heineke, Case Keenum are the big-time players that have been placed on the COVID-19 list, including a bunch of assistant coaches as well and coordinators, including Bill Lazor, the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears. So it's likely or highly unlikely that he makes his offensive coordinator presence known for the Chicago Bears this upcoming Monday night. But how does that go into the NFL? Like, what is the response with all these teams? Well, the response is that the Cleveland Browns, let's first start with them because they got the short end of the stick. They've got everyone on this COVID-19 list. Now, the good news for them is that they did activate David Njoku, but they're missing some defensive pieces. that could really help the Las Vegas Raiders offense out. Baker Mayfield has been placed on that list. More than likely, he's not going to be playing. Jarvis Landry has been placed on that list as well. On Monday, he could be cleared by Saturday, and then he could be playing, but we just don't know yet. I mean, given that it's on a Saturday and not a Sunday that they play, that does hurt their chances. So, on top of that, Anthony Schwartz is dealing with an ankle injury. I believe it's an ankle, but he's going to be missing Week 15. So, the star players right now for the Cleveland Browns are going to be quarterback Nick Mullins. You've got David Ojoku, starting tight end. You've got Donovan Peoples-Jones, starting wide receiver. Kareem Hunt is already inactive, dealing with an injury, not COVID-19, but another injury. Nick Chubb is going to be working in there as well. So, this offense can't sit around Nick Chubb, but it's looking very, very bad for the Cleveland Browns right now. But that's the COVID-19 diagnosis and updates for those guys. Now, Washington football team, they already placed Kyle Allen on that COVID-19 list earlier this week, a couple days ago. Taylor Heineke has now been placed on that list as of, I want to say 30 minutes ago that he was placed on that list. So what do? They sign off the practice squad Garrett Gilbert, and he's going to be making his start, what we expect, against the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I know a lot of people chose the Washington football team to win. I think it was a split, 51% favoring the Eagles, 49% the football team in our poll that we took on Instagram. It's more than likely going to be the Eagles with the lack of offensive power that they have. Now, good news for the Washington football team. Terry McLaurin practiced in a limited fashion. He is dealing with that concussion. Still hasn't been cleared yet. Still needs to be cleared. But let's just wait and see and keep our fingers crossed that Terry McLaurin can at least be some sort of offensive power for the Washington football team. Other than that, J.D. McKissick has not been practicing. You've got Antonio Gibson, but it's not looking good for them either. T.J. Hockinson had a season-ending surgery on his right hand. He's been dealing with that issue that kept him inactive last week, and they decided to shut him down. It's the best option is to go down the route of getting surgery. I mean, if you could have played it out, if you guys were in playoff contention, sure, just avoid surgery until the offseason. But, they're not in playoff contention, so it's just best right now for T.J. Hockinson and his health. And for next season, get that surgery. You'll be fine by the time OTAs come around. So, unfortunately, Hawkinson's season is done. Donald Parham, I don't know if you guys watched that game yesterday, but, I was watching it, and I didn't think the hit was that bad. And it didn't seem like anyone really hit him, but the way he fell to the ground, he might have, injured something in his back and his spine. So, hopefully he's good. The update that we have is that he's in stable condition, so hopefully nothing too serious can be stemming from that. Elijah Mitchell has been sidelined yet again this week. Sidelined all of last week. Sidelined this week. We don't know the status of Elijah Mitchell, but more than likely it's looking like Jeff Wilson is going to get his second consecutive start with Jermichael Hasty working in there as well. Damian Harris, hamstring injury. He is listed as questionable for Saturday night's game against the Indianapolis Colts. He's been a limited participant in practice, so it kind of bodes well for Damian Harris to be playing in this game. Marquise Brown has been dealing with an illness, non-COVID related, so he was sidelined in Thursday's practice. We'll see his status closer to Sunday. Tevin Coleman had a concussion. He practiced in full for a second consecutive day, so that is looking good for Tevin Coleman. More than likely, he's going to be playing this Sunday. Josh Allen, foot injury against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He said he's going to be fine. He was limited in practice. More than likely, he's going to be fine. Adam Thielen did not participate in practice. This was his first session. The Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears, they play on Monday, so their first session instead of Wednesday, it's on Thursday. And on Thursday's practice, did not participate in practice because of an ankle injury. Now he has Friday and Saturday to have at least some sort of limited capacity for him to come back. More than likely, though, if he did not practice on his first day, doesn't look well for Adam Thielen. Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders, the two running backs of the Chicago Bears, Philadelphia Eagles. Jordan Howard dealing with a knee injury, had a whole bye week to rest. Miles Sanders as well had a whole bye week to rest, had an ankle injury. They were limited in practice. So either one, either both are going to be playing. I doubt that both of them are going to be sitting out. Darren Waller already has been ruled out, has been dealing with that knee injury. He is day-to-day, but did not participate in practice, hasn't practiced since having that knee injury. So he's already been ruled out this weekend against the Cleveland Browns. Lamar Jackson did not participate in practice either. Ankle injury. So that's Wednesday and now Thursday. It's looking like Tyler Huntley is going to be starting yet again, or is going to be playing. Yeah. I guess I could say yet again because he started against the Chicago Bears. But yeah, ankle injury. Lamar Jackson more than likely not going to be playing. James Conner did not participate in practice. He's dealing with an ankle injury of his own. The good news for the Cardinals is that Chase Edmonds last week was a true game time decision on whether he was going to be playing or not. Ultimately, they decided not to activate him off of injured reserve. With James Conner going to be missing this game, Chase Edmonds is trending upwards. We don't know if he's going to be activated just yet, but we're going to be talking about that later on in this episode when we talk about Prediction Strike. Tony Pollard, foot injury. He's been limited in practice. He might be coming back as soon as this weekend. DeAndre Swift still not participate in practice with that shoulder injury. Jason Peters, very talented, debatable Hall of Fame left tackle. He's been dealing with a high ankle sprain that he suffered last week against the Green Bay Packers. Tevin Jenkins came in as his replacement, the rookie tackle. He's dealing with that high ankle sprain. He might be missing some time. Leonard Fournette did not participate in practice. This is the last little bit of news that we have. He did not participate on Wednesday. On Monday, if you did not tune into yesterday's live stream, we said that Leonard Fournette was dealing with soreness in his ankle. And we were like, okay, well, maybe he just needs a couple days to rest. Well, I mean, he rested Monday, rested Tuesday, rested Wednesday, didn't practice. Now he's resting Thursday. So on Friday, I mean, come on. I mean, we need you guys against the New Orleans Saints. You know what I'm saying? So Leonard Fournette, more than likely, his status is up in the air. We don't know if he's going to be playing or not. But that is your NFL news and notes for today, Friday, December 17th, 2021. Let's get into Prediction Strike, the stock market for football. If you don't know about this, what we do is every Friday, we talk about players that you need to invest in, as if it's the stock market, like you're buying shares in players. For instance, if you bought in on Javonte Williams early on, right now, you probably made a lot of freaking money by the way that his projection is trending for him playing against these teams, against an easy schedule, and being talented as heck. Javonte Williams is one of those investments for the end of the season this year, but then also going into next season and the season after. You got to buy these players low. And this is what we're going to be telling you guys. We're going to tell you some players, 3 players to buy and 3 players to sell. 3 players that we're optimistic on and their value, whether it be for the short term, whether it be for the long term, and 3 players that you need to go ahead and sell their shares, be like, I'm done with them. I don't want anything to do with them because I am not hopeful on their future. So first, let's start off with the players that you need to buy. Okay, so we talk about long-term players, right? For the season, we talked about Javonte Williams. What about a short-term buy? Like, what if you just want to make quick cash just for this week? Well, let's think about David Ojoku of the Cleveland Browns. Now, you may not realize this, but he is actually the leading receiver for the Cleveland Browns. Believe it or not, they don't pass the ball a lot, but he is the leading receiver. And now he's going for $3.31 a share. That's a 0% change, but keep in mind, look at the analysis. No one else in this game against the Raiders has a shot of really getting the ball. Like, who's he going to throw to? He'll be a safe check down option for Nick Mullins, a 1-week buy and sell. Listen, buy 20 shares if you want, 15 shares, however much money you want to spend on this, and then watch your money grow because he's only projected like maybe 7, 8 PPR fantasy points, which we think he's going to exceed. I mean, he just needs 3 receptions, 4 receptions for like 30 yards, 40 yards, something like that. So we think David Njoku is going to have a pretty good game this Saturday. The next player you want to think about buying and investing in the stock market, think about Chase Edmonds. We don't know for sure if he's going to be playing this week, but I just want to go ahead and put this in your ear that James Conner is dealing with an ankle issue. We don't know how long he's going to be missing action. Maybe it's week 15, week 16, but Edmonds was consistent in PPR leagues when he was playing. He's capable of exceeding fantasy projections because of the receptions. Again, how the stock market works, how Prediction Strikes works, is if they exceed their fantasy football projection, then their stock price goes up and you make some money. Chase Edmonds has a high chance of that happening with his PPR usage being utilized in the passing game. So Chase Edmonds is a guy I like, especially if he's going to be the RB1 without James Conner there. Cliff Kingsbury in years past is not afraid to use Chase Edmonds as a traditional 3-down back, like 20, 25 carries in a game. The last player that you want to think about buying is David Montgomery. We talked about this previously, and his stock price has kind of like stayed the same. It's been like up by 1%, down by 1%, so he's kind of steady. But he's going for a very extremely cheap price, $1.13. He has a great schedule the rest of the way. I mean, he plays Minnesota, Seattle, New York. Like, these are good matchups that he could exceed his fantasy projection. He's a clear workhorse back, extremely cheap and with great potential to exceed any projection. Like, he's a high ceiling guy, very talented guy, probably the most talented player on that Chicago offense. That's why I'm liking David Montgomery for the remainder of the season, at least. Now, keep in mind, David Montgomery on Thursday's practice, he didn't participate in practice. He was dealing with an illness, so monitor his status. But, I mean, if he were to miss this game, it doesn't affect the stock price, really. Like, it just affects it if people keep on, like, selling their shares and their price goes down if people buy out of them. Now, let's talk about 3 players that we want to sell. Like, we're not that hopeful for, whether it be for this week or even for the future. Let's talk about Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. Now, against the LA Rams, historically, he doesn't tend to do that well. Tyler Lockett is inactive. He's been placed on the COVID-19 list. Russell Wilson is averaging 13 fantasy points a game in the last 3 games versus the Rams. He's going for $10.60 a share, which is very, very pricey. His percent change is that Stone Cold 316 right there. We don't think that for this week, at least, Russell Wilson is going to exceed the 16 fantasy points that he's projected on PredictionStrike's website. So I'd go ahead and just sell Russell Wilson for this week. And then if you're hopeful on him for the rest of the season, then you can go ahead and buy him again for next week. But make sure you don't lose any money. Make sure you take out your money for the time being. The next player we want to go ahead and say it's time. It's time to move on. It's TJ Hockinson. It's been time for a while. We talked about TJ Hockinson as being a buy in the beginning of the season. The very first Prediction Strike video that we came out with, he was going for 71 cents a share. We said, you have to buy in on this guy. And he eventually got up to like $2.50 a share, like around there. Like, he was up 200% at one point during the season. So whether you sold him back then or even now, you still make a profit if you bought him early on in the beginning of this season. I can go ahead and tell you, me personally, I bought, I want to say 25, 30, maybe even 35 shares of TJ Hockinson when he was at like 71 cents. And when he got up to 250, I was like, wow, I just like made a whole bunch of money. I made like 40, 50 bucks off of this guy. Let me go ahead and get that money. So I made my money back and then some. But I still held on to like maybe 5, 10 shares of Hockinson, thinking like, oh, maybe he'll like keep on like doing well later on in the season. He didn't, but that's okay. I mean, I took the risk. I didn't want to sell all of it. I took the risk. Now, I still made a little bit of money based off of when I bought it, but 93 cents compared to 250, it's a loss. But I'm telling you right now, now's the time to sell Hockinson and you make a profit. The last player we want to talk about that you want to sell in Prediction Strike, we're just not hopeful on this guy, Evan Ingram. $2.82 a share, down 50%. Look at the analysis. Has reached his ceiling with the Giants. The QB injuries with Mike Lennon, with Daniel Jones. You might have Jake Fromm even playing in this game. Not helping his value this season. He'll be a free agent next season. So wait and see. I don't know why I wrote seal. I don't know what that is. Probably a typo. But which team he signs with before buying more shares of Evan Ingram. So, yeah, he's reached a ceiling, and since his days with Eli Manning, actually, were his best days in the NFL, and now it's just, just wait and see which team he goes to in free agency, but, like, for the remainder of the season, Evan Ingram, get rid of him. So those are 3 players to buy and 3 players to sell via Prediction Strike, the stock market of fantasy football. Click that link in the description, use the promo code T2F, sign up, start playing, and you get a free share of a player if you deposit at least $20 or more. All right. What do we got here? PrizePicks. PrizePicks. So I want to say I got some feedback last week with the PrizePicks video. I said, I came up with my video. A comment said, hey, can you show us like your success rate or how many you got correct the previous week? And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So I wanted to do that, but it was going to take some time to make the graphic. So I'm going to do that when I split up this video and put it out on the channel. I'll go ahead and show the success rates and how many I got correct last week. But for just this stream, let's just focus on which players you want to invest in and you want to pick the overs and unders on. So PrizePicks, what it is if you don't know about it, is you pick the overs and unders of fantasy football projections and stat lines. Do you think that this weekend Derek Carr is going to exceed 15 fantasy points, or is he going to get lower than 15 fantasy points? Well, I think he's going to get under that. I think he's going to get over. I'm going to put some money on that. And if you're correct on your prediction, you win some cash. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you with that. You just pick the overs and unders on fantasy football projections, and if you're correct, you win some money. PrizePicks is a lot of fun. Click that link in the description. Use the promo code T2F. Sign up, start playing. But what we're going to do on this show is show you 3 players you want to take the under on and 3 players you want to take the overs on via PrizePicks in their fantasy football projections. So first, let's start off with the players you want to take the unders on, players that we're not that hopeful on based off the projections on PrizePicks website. The first player that we have in mind is Taysom Hill. Now, we think that he's a must-start in fantasy football just because of his rushing ability. However, passing yards, you could choose the overs and unders on stat line projections, and 195 passing yards is something that we think he's going to get under on. The last 2 starts that he's had against the Dallas Cowboys and against the New York Jets. Against the Jets, he did not reach 195 passing yards. And against the Dallas Cowboys, he had 264, but that was all because of one play, 70-yard touchdown pass to Deontay Harris. If that play did not happen, it was towards the end of the game. We don't know for sure if Taysom Hill is going to exceed that or not. So his confidence, I'm confident in this projection. I'm 75% confident that Taysom Hill is going to get under 195 passing yards. But, there are a lot more projections that I'm a little bit more confident on, which I'm about to show you here in just a bit. The second player that we want to go ahead and take the under on, it's not looking good for Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon, it seems like he's transitioning into the lead back. They have very, very good running backs, and they're going to utilize both. But his projection is 48.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to get under that. I really do. Look at the last 5 games for Aaron Jones. 35 rushing yards, 23, 25, 53, 59. There's only been 2 games where he exceeded the 48 rushing yards. But in the last 3 games when A.J. Dillon really came onto the scene, Aaron Jones hasn't really been doing that much on the ground. So I'm 80% confident that Aaron Jones against the Baltimore Ravens does not exceed that 48.5 rushing yard mark. The last player I want to talk about that you want to take the under on, it's Carson Wentz, who used to be Mr. Consistency, Mr. 17 fantasy points a game early on in the season. But then when this team realized, oh yeah, Jonathan Taylor is our best player on this team, let's not pass the ball that much. And Carson Wentz since has declined in the passing game. But this more so has to do with a matchup against New England, because Carson Wentz, if you look in the last 5 games, he's exceeded 14.5 fantasy points in just 2 of the last 5 games. Okay. I mean, we like our odds already. But then if you factor in the Patriots defense and how many fantasy points they're giving up to quarterbacks, well, New England hasn't allowed over 14.5 fantasy points since week 6 against Dak Prescott. I'm 75% confident that Carson Wentz does not exceed 14.5 fantasy points. The next players that we want to talk about, 3 players that we want to take the overs on. Let's first start off with Trevor Lawrence. And I know I'm getting a lot of crap for this because I said that he was a sleeper of the week. And I encourage you guys, when you watch that Starts and Sits video, please don't just look at the graphic and say, oh, this guy's an idiot. Please listen to my description and my analysis, because I was saying he's your final last resort desperation option. Like, if there's no one else available, then Trevor Lawrence could be the guy. And this week against the Houston Texans, even though he threw 3 interceptions in week 1, he still passed for 331 yards against the Texans. So because his projection is 205 and he passed for 331, almost 130, 125 yards more than what his projection is, I like the chances of Trevor Lawrence exceeding. Plus, Urban Meyer's gone. I think this team has a little bit more of a rejuvenation, a breath of fresh air that might be present in this game against the Houston Texans. So I like Trevor Lawrence. They're at home. The crowd's going to be into it. It's against a division rival, and he passed for a lot of yards in week 1 against the Texans. The next player that I want to talk about that you want to take the over on, how about David Najoku? We talked about him earlier. We've been talking about him a lot during the show. 7 PPR fantasy points. Let me say that again. 7, which is not a lot. PPR, which is really not a lot. Fantasy points. There's really no one else to throw the ball to. Who are you going to throw to? I mean, you could work in Nick Chubb in the passing game, Dearness Johnson, sure. But Harrison Bryant is dealing with an ankle injury. We don't know if he's going to be coming back in this game. Austin Hooper, Jarvis Landry, Anthony Schwartz, all of them are out. Some of them with injuries, some of them on the COVID-19 list. Nick Mullins is going to check it down to David Njoku. He is the leading receiver, believe it or not, on the Cleveland Browns. And I'm 85% confident that Njoku surpasses 7 PPR fantasy points. Again, think about it. 4 receptions for 30 yards. That's 7 points. That's easy to do. I think you can get that. The next player that you want to take the over on, the last player actually, it's another Cleveland Brown. Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's our sleeper of the week in fantasy football at the wide receiver position. 8.5 fantasy points is his projection. Now, I'm only 70% confident because wide receivers are just kind of hard to predict. Like tight ends, running backs, quarterbacks, they're a little bit more easier just because you just have an easier feel. Maybe not tight ends so much, but running backs and quarterbacks, they definitely get the snaps. So you know for sure like who's going to go off and who's not. But with wide receivers, it's almost 50-50 to be honest with you. But let's just, we're siding with the stats on this. 4 of the last 6 games, Donovan Peoples-Jones has gone over the 8.5 fantasy point mark. And now he's going to be the number 1 receiver in this offense. That number 1 receiver, when he was going over 8.5 fantasy points in 4 of his last 6 games, he was not the number 1 receiver. Now he is. So imagine what he can do as the number 1 receiver. So what we do on this channel is we don't just talk a big game about it. We actually put up our own money on the line. So I'm going to go to PrizePicks website, and then I'm going to pick these live on air. So you guys know, like, hey, I'm not just talking crap. Like, I'm actually going to pick these guys and show you guys how this website works. So let me go ahead and switch my computer over here. And what have we got here? We've got passing yards, right? So let's go to Trevor Lawrence. Now, we can only pick 5 of the 6 that I talked about in one single entry. You could pick 2, you could pick 3, you could pick 4. And the more you pick, the more money you can win. Like if I hit all 5, which has happened before on the show, on air, then I win 10 times my money. If I only pick 4 out of 5 or I get 4 out of 5 correct, then I still double my money, so the odds are in your favor. Even if you get 3 out of 5, you lose a little bit of money, but you still get some of your money back. So I'm going to choose that 5 entry and try to go big or go home. So Trevor Lawrence is someone that we talked about that I want to go ahead and take the over on. Someone else that I am confident on, I don't think Aaron Jones is going to make that mark of 48 rushing yards. Taysom Hill, again, passing yards. Let's go back there. Let's go with the under with him if we can find him. He plays Sunday night, so he's going to be at the bottom right here. And now we've got 2 more. It's between Carson Wentz, David Njoku, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Well, let's choose Carson Wentz. I'm kind of confident in him. So we go up here to fantasy score. Click that. Go down to Carson Wentz, 14.5. And now it's between David Njoku and DPJ. I said that I wasn't that confident in Peoples-Jones. So I'm going to go with David Njoku. So right over here, 7 fantasy points. And over here on the side, we're going to go down to Trevor Lawrence over, Jones under, Hill under, Wentz under, Najoku over. And I always just put in $10 for a chance to win 100. Place that entry. Boom. Just like that. That's simple. PrizePicks.com. Download the app. Click that link in the description. Use the promo code T2F. Sign up. Start playing. You can get a deposit match on PrizePicks if you use that promo code T2F. All right. Now it's time for the viewer questions. The part of the show where you guys don't care about what I'm talking about for the first 25 minutes of the show, but you ask your questions so that I can go ahead and answer them. Thanks for tuning in. I love your attentiveness. Some of you guys do really care, but most of you guys don't. April saying hi. Hi, April. Appreciate you joining in and tuning in for this episode of Time to Football. But yeah, go ahead and leave your questions. I'll go ahead and spend the next few minutes answering these. Oh my gosh, great value just claps, doesn't it? Yeah, great. That says great value. It's amazing. Okay, all right. Okay, what do we got? Jeremy, in one of my leagues that I'm in the playoffs, I started Herbert and my opponent sat Mahomes. So far, looking good. He sat Mahomes. Why'd you sit Mahomes? Dude, oh my freaking goodness, dude. I'm going to vent. In my viewer league, that I don't pay that much attention to, but now that I'm in the playoffs, I'm paying attention. I started Justin Herbert. He had Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Harrison Butker, right? I'm guessing he's a Chiefs fan. I'm guessing. And they went off. Like, Travis Kelce over 35 fantasy points, right? Patrick Mahomes, 29 fantasy points. Harrison Butker had a solid 8 fantasy points as well. And Herbert, like, he did well in himself. But, yeah, I said I'm going off because I was one game away from the bye. And the reason I didn't get the bye week was because of a stat correction that I vented about back in week 2 in that Monday Night Football game between the Lions and the Packers. Jared Goff, he was going to throw the ball, and it slipped from his hand, but he recovered it. He recovered his own fumble. However, no one touched him. No one touched him when the ball slipped from his hand. And the other guy was starting the Packers defense, right? Well, I thought I won, and then the NFL went back and said, oh, because the ball slipped from his hand, that counts as a sack. What? So I lost by like 0.2 points, and I missed the bye week, and now I'm probably going to get destroyed in the playoffs in the first round. Had that stat correction not happened, I would have had a bye, and I probably would have been alive. Dude, that's the nature of fantasy football, man. You just don't know what's going to be happening. Like, every single play matters. It's crazy. He's starting Tua. Golly. Ben the Rocking Canes Willis. I have David Najoku. Should I play him this week? Thanks. Yes. I'm actually, as a matter of fact, so I had TJ Hockinson. Oh my gosh, that viewer league is. I had AJ Brown, Adam Thielen, TJ Hockinson, like all of them hurt. Anyways, I dropped TJ Hockinson, right? But I have Pat Freiermuth. I'm starting David Najoku over Freiermuth. Freiermuth is so touchdown dependent. David Najoku is going to be more of a substance volume play that's going to get you points based off of receptions and yards. Who else are going to throw to? David Njoku is a very good play this week. Mauricio, should I start Chuba or Rojo if Lenny sits? Oh, it's got to be Rojo. It's got to, like, he has the talent to be our RB2. Like, if he were a starter in the NFL, he could be an RB2 in fantasy football. Chuba Hubbard maybe as well, but I just like the matchup better for Rojo, even though the Saints are really good against the run. The Bills are really good against the run as well, but I like the offense and how they operate and how they use. There's no Giovanni Bernard. There's no Leonard Fournette if he sits. It's just going to be Ronald Jones. It's going to be the 3-down back that's going to be involved in passing downs and goal line touches as well. So I like Ronald Jones a lot if Chuba Hubbard or if Leonard Fournette sits. What else we got? Devontae Smith, KJ Osborne, Amon-Ra St. Brown, AJ Green, Gabriel Davis, full PPR. I have Deontay Johnson. I lost Waddle and D-Hop. My condolences. It's been a rough week for everyone, man. I would go down the route of KJ Osborne if Adam Thielen doesn't play, which I don't think he is going to be playing. And honestly, it's between Gabriel Davis and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm leaning Amon-Ra. Like, it could be just a thing where, like, they have no one else to throw to. TJ Hockinson is out. Yeah, Amon-Ra. That's who I'm going with. Is it Amon-Ra or Amon-Ra? I think it's Amon-Ra, if I'm not mistaken. Zobu, T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, Robbie Anderson, or Cole Beasley. Not a question, but I will pick 2 for you. What do you got for me, man? T. Higgins, Jerry Jeudy. It's got to be T. Higgins as 1. And then the second is, I don't like either one of them, but I'm going to go with Cole Beasley. Man, guys, I'm going to answer questions here. Perry, Prater or Robbie Gould? I am going to go with Matt Prater. I like Matt Prater. Revenge game, by the way. for Matt Prater. Melee, yeah, what happened? Yes, field goal at 13-14 would have been good. I didn't understand it. Talking about that Chargers-Chiefs game. Yeah, man, I didn't understand it too, man. Hey, this is just the nature of Brandon Staley. Earlier in the season, the Chargers against the Ravens, they went on it on 4th down. 4th and like 8 on their own 30-yard line or something like that against the Ravens when they were down like 13 or 14 or something in the 4th quarter, but it wasn't like you could still punt it. You know what I'm saying? They elected not to. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're playing Madden, man. Like I said, Hollywood situation is looking shaky. Would you feel comfortable starting AJ Grant? AJ, I want to say Green and Brown at the same time. AJ Green over him. I'm starting Van Jefferson and Mike Evans. I would not start AJ Green. I know it's between AJ Green and Christian Kirk, who emerges as the number 1 receiver. With DeAndre Hopkins gone, we're still going to have to wait and see how it works with Kyler Murray now in the lineup. I think it's going to be Christian Kirk, if I'm not mistaken. But there's going to be some weeks if AJ Green doing really well. I think no, let me rephrase that. Christian Kirk is going to be a good yardage guy. He's going to get a lot of yards, deep looks. AJ Green is probably going to get more of the short receptions. I'll say AJ Green is going to be the number 1 guy. But to answer your question, I would not feel comfortable starting AJ Green over Hollywood Brown. Now, Hollywood Brown dealing with a sickness, so keep that in mind. Hello from Washington, D.C. Zobu, thank you. I think I already answered your question. April, what you got for me? I like the studio background. Thank you. Thank you so much. I can actually... what colors you guys want? What colors? I changed it to the Kansas City Chiefs red, but I can change it to any colors you guys want. Don't believe me? Watch this. Wow. Oh, wow. Hold on. Let's mix it up here. We got the primary as the blue, but we can change that side to any color we want. Wow. All right, let's roll with the Seattle Seahawks. Why not? Roll with their colors. Lockett is out. Parker, Pittman, Van Jefferson, AJ Green, full PPR. It's tricky. Yeah. Run DMC, great song. I would go with Parker, honestly. He had 5 receptions off of 5 targets for 62 yards last week. Jalen Waddle is out as well. And against the New York Jets, this matchup is. So I would go with Devontae Parker for sure. Caliente Kid, playing for $12,000. Good morning, my brother. Salute to you in the chat. Trust me, if I win, I would definitely be sending you a little taste. You're the best. Much love. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't ask me for my Cash App or Venmo. Not those what's it? The TikTok girls that put their Cash App and their Venmo in their descriptions. Nah, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna be one of those girls. So, but I hope you do win that $12,000. I hope you do. Perry Williams, Mitchell Jacobs, Penny, Jamal Williams, and then wide receivers. All right, okay, hold on. Whoa, hold on. This is a loaded question. Pick 2. Okay, Mitchell's going to be out. Don't pick him. Jacobs, Penny, Jamal Williams. I would pick Jacobs and Penny this week. Jacobs and Penny for sure. Wide receiver 2 and flex. DJ Moore, Pittman, Van Jefferson, or one of the running backs you don't pick. Don't play Pittman. I would play Van Jefferson. I would play Van Jefferson for sure. And then your flex. It's between DJ Moore and Jamal Williams. I'm going to go with Jamal Williams. Yes, go with Jamal Williams. That it? That's it? That's all the questions? No more? Man. Okay. Well, I mean, if that's all we got, then that's all we got. I'll go ahead and sign off. I appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode of Time to Football. I mean, you guys are the blood, the lifeline of the show. You guys make it possible. I think we have some updates that I just saw. Let me go ahead and update you guys on some NFL news before I do sign off. So we've got, Deion Hawkins of the Buffalo Bills has been placed on that reserve/COVID-19 list. A very talented left tackle. They're going to be missing him. Update on Josh Allen. Bills quarterback Josh Allen will start on Sunday versus the Panthers per head coach Sean McDermott. Allen has been limited in practice this week as he nurses a sprained foot. So that's good news. You'll be involved in that. And then finally, the last little bit of players. The Dolphins activated running backs Myles Gaskin and Salvon Ahmed from the COVID-19 list. Both players will be available to play on Sunday versus the Jets. We got some other questions coming in, but those were some updates for you guys that have those players. Start Pitts or Goddard from Perry Williams. I would go Goddard. Yeah. And then April's asking if Fournette is out, Sony Michel, Ronald Jones, or Russell Gage. I think Darrell Henderson is coming back. I think he has a high chance of coming back. But if he doesn't come back, Sony Michel for sure. But if Darrell Henderson comes back, don't play Sony Michel. Play Ronald Jones because more than likely Leonard Fournette is going to be inactive in this game. And Ronald Jones is going to eat against the Saints. Boom, baby. All right. One more with the RBs. All right, Perry. I got you, man. I got you. One more with the RB since Fournette is injured. Jacobs, Penny, or Rojo? It's Rojo. No. Oh gosh, Jacobs. It's got to be Jacobs. I'm going Jacobs. I like Ronald Jones a lot, though. I like Ronald Jones, but I would go with Jacobs for sure. Hey, man, that's it. That's it, my people. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Time to Football. Again, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just come on in. Join us during the live chat. We're not going to be live streaming this weekend, but hey, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy this Saturday slate of games as well. Ruins your plans, ruins my plans, but whatever. Ahmed.